So I finished AI The Somnium Files. If you watched my last episode on Persona 5 Strikers, I briefly explained how I got exposed to Persona 5 Royal, leading me to all of Atlus's other games like a rabbit hole of sorts. Which, by the way, thank you so much to the people watching right now who did see that episode. It means a lot to me, and I didn't think it would do as well as it did. That's the YouTube algorithm for you. So let's see how this episode goes. But I would like to use the term rabbit hole again in reference to discovering Spike Chunsoft's games. I always came up on their name for certain titles, but I certainly did not know they were highly influential to the visual novel, sound novel genre. A YouTube channel known as Bowl of Lentils does a much more detailed video about Chunsoft's history, so I highly recommend watching their video if you want to know what I'm talking about on that front. My personal history with visual novels starts with none other than A Girl Who Chanced Love at the Bound of This World. I was doing some investigation on the PC-98 and its big hits, and that game had the tag visual novel. I played through it in the summer of 2023, and I thought it was a fascinating story, had fascinating characters, environments, the music, and I eventually realized, well, damn, visual novels sound dumb on paper, but can actually be executed very well. Is now one of my top 10 favorite blind playthroughs of all time, and I was definitely hungry for more of these visual novels. And there's some other games I didn't even realize until later that have visual novel elements, such as Corpse Party, Book of Shadows, Doki Doki Literature Club, and I Love You, Colonel Sanders. Yeah, that one right there is a hidden gem. Eventually, I would hear about 9 Doors, 9 Lives, 9 Personas, and the Nonary games, and how much of a hidden gem they were for the DS era. This all led me to seeing the trailers for AI Nirvana Initiative and No Sleep for Kaname Dante. And finally discovering Somnium Files. Just looking at the footage and screenshots made everything feel very somber and mysterious, like those old SMT games on PS1 and PS2. It was on Steam for sale, go figure, along with the aforementioned Nonary game collection. And about a year later, I decided to finally try it, and I don't know if it was the timing of playing it now, but I was hooked 2 hours in. I didn't think I would have a lot to say about this video game, but the more I thought on it, the more I realized I actually have a bit that confused me and excited me to no end. So sit back, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to explain, so this is gonna probably be my longest episode yet. AI The Somnium Files follows Kaname Date and his partner Aiba, an artificial intelligence that resides in Date's left eye, solving a murder case regarding Shoko Nadami. Shoko is found missing her left eye tied to a horse on a carousel. 6 years ago, there was a similar case regarding 4 women killed with their right eye pulled out, a murder case which would eventually be called the Cyclops killings. Could Shoko's murder relate to the original Cyclops killer, or just a copycat killer? Could it be an otaku, an internet idol, or even Date's own boss? It's up to him and Aiba to find out. The setting of this story isn't entirely grounded in reality. The Somnium Files is a science fiction story where things like holographic police tape, sync machines, and Aiba herself exist. Granted, Aiba and sync machines are considered national secrets within the police force that no one can know about, but I digress. Let's talk about Aiba first. She's something of a hyper-artificial intelligence that acts as Date's synthetic left eye. Why his left eye is missing in the first place, we'll definitely get to that later. But Aiba has abilities from quick internet scouring, like a quick Google search or what have you, all the way to projecting safe outcomes from danger for Date and projecting even a holographic image of herself in human form. Unlike all the other AI, she does have a sassy tsundere-like personality, which your boy is all here for. So far, Aiba and Date have been working together for 5 years, and it really showed throughout this whole story. Date works for a secret group of investigators known as Abyss, and one of their scientists, Peter, created Aiba a year after Date joined Abyss and suffered amnesia. I don't want to spoil anything yet, but the fact that Date mentions he had amnesia from events 6 years before joining Abyss seemed like it would be very important to the new Cyclops killing case, and I'll just say, yeah, it definitely was. And during my playthrough, it just felt like Pewter and Boss held something back from Date and Aiba, which I just found annoying and unnecessary and kind of suspicious. Boss is, well, the boss of Abyss, and she just goes by Boss, and what we would call a femme fatale. She's a friend to Date and was the one to put him on the new Cyclops killer case. You visit her office on occasion, and I could tell she had a quirky, eccentric side to her just from all the different stuff she has. We also have Pewter working for Abyss as the scientist. Not much to say about him other than the tech info dumps you get when in the sync room, and that he has the best outfit out of everyone. The sync room is, as I said, a national secret and used for syncing with other people's mindscapes. It's a tool to uncover some truth from someone being interrogated by going into their mindscape, their somnium, and see what they have seen. Specific things that they may have forgotten or are holding back. But there's a 6-minute time limit that Date has to adhere to, or his and the other person's brain will kind of meld together if in the Somnium for too long. Also, more on that later. Getting back to the storyline a bit, when investigating the crime scene at the carousel, a girl is seen behind a door, using Aiba's X-ray vision, who is Mizuki Okiura, Date's roommate who suffers aphonia caused by her mother. She's found with a bloodied ice pick that was in Shoko's left eye. Mizuki is of course pulled in for questioning, but it's doubtful she's the culprit given Shoko is Mizuki's mother, and someone like Mizuki wouldn't have wanted to kill anybody, let alone Shoko. To find out why Mizuki was there, Date syncs with her and enters her Somnium, which leads me to finally talk about gameplay. Somnium Files isn't just a point-and-click visual novel murder mystery. It's also an escape room-esque puzzle game, where you control the humanoid form of Aiba and figure out what is hidden or what is locked in someone's mind, of which there are literal mental locks you have to unlock to get 1 or 2 outcomes, which later split into separate timelines that have their own locks. I personally find multiple endings in a game annoying and just want a clean start to end, but I enjoyed how Somnium Files' multiple endings were a part of the whole experience and who was the Cyclops killer. But I almost wish that they weren't locked. It's not that easy following a series of events only to go back to another while also trying to figure out why both timelines matter, you know? But I like the puzzle system well enough. I will say it was unique and interesting, but there was just too much trial and error, especially with Hitomi's Somnium. Oh dear God. In contrast, Mayumi Matsushita and Mizuki's Somnium were the only two that I felt like a sweet spot between this guessing game and being able to actually predict my choices. I have heard that Nirvana Initiative is an upgrade for this Somnium puzzle system, so I'm excited to play that whenever I do. Each Somnium has many different areas for the people you interrogate, and have either 3 or 5 mental locks in particular. There's the 6-minute time limit, and time slows when Aiba's not moving and speeds up when she is moving. With different interactions and with different items, you get timies, a kind of time substitution currency. Say a phone is ringing and it takes 1 minute to ignore the call. If you have a 10-second timey from another item interaction, you could turn the 1 minute ignore to a 10-second ignore option, saving whatever time you have left within that 6-minute limit. I will admit it took me way too long into the story to figure out that you not only have to pick up the timey, but press A to confirm and then choose the interaction. And with choosing Aiba's different interactions in the Somnium, it could lead to funny, quirky remarks or scenes with her and Date, like being swung on a ceiling fan, wearing a bucket, or just insulting a skeleton. This leads me to discuss the overall comedy and humor that the Somnium Files has. The director and writer is Kotaro Uchikoshi, and I don't know if he typically does this style of heavy story with quirky, awkward humor, but I kind of appreciate it. I can see if people are turned off by it and view the game as having an identity crisis, as if it can't choose a lane of full seriousness or full comedy. But from my overall experience with the game, it kept me on my feet and what interactions would happen next. This style of writing actually reminds me of Zach Kreger's movies, like certain scenes from Weapons that made me laugh and terrified at the same time, like the gas station scene. But Uchikoshi has more of an awkward, cringe moment style of humor in particular. If anything, I think moments like finding porno mags on the ground should have been only used for fight sequences to distract opponents instead of reminding the player, Date's a pervert, guys, look at the pervert. And at this point, that anime style humor is a broken record and was never that funny to begin with, in my opinion. The fight scenes themselves were always over the top, so just use that porno mag gag for those scenes. But all that to say, it never really felt like the writing was fighting itself. There at least was a time and place for most jokes and the serious detective investigation. Now let's talk about the rest of the cast. 3 characters in particular having their own story roots. I'll list them in no strict order here. I've already mentioned Mizuki, the 12-year-old brat who becomes Date's roommate after her parents become too busy with their own careers, being Renju and Shoko Nadami. Like Aiba, she's a tough-love tsundere with a secretly soft heart. She could have been more stubborn and annoying, but I came to love her at the end of her route. Then we meet Ota Matsushita, a 24-year-old otaku / aspiring novelist that is infatuated with the internet pop star Aset. He's probably the one character I have mixed opinions for. He doesn't have the best introduction, given the fact he always has to emphasize how much a fan he is for Aset, and that he goes to such lengths as making fake Reddit accounts to fight with his real one, so Ota looks like a hero all the time. At one point, Aset is kidnapped and actually manages to save her, making sure to live in the limelight. And not to mention, he's just a bad liar to Date almost all the time. But granted, when it comes down to it, Ota tries to be a good guy for Aset and a good friend to Mizuki, and eventually shows his real love for his mother, Mayumi. Date actually says it best. Aiba, I don't like Ota, but I don't think he's a bad guy. Let's talk about his mom, Mayumi Matsushita. Definitely in my ranking of probably 3rd favorite character. She's a waitress at Matsushita Diner, always prepping meals for the diner that seems to never have customers and always thinking good things for her son. She even goes so far as calling Aset a witch and faking a confession for the murder of Aset to protect Ota. After committing said confession, Date is ordered to sync with Mayumi. Her somnium is, again, rather simple. where interacting with certain objects regains memory of what actually happened to the Matsushita diner and her family. Slight spoiler here. You find out she suffers from an early stage of dementia. This is why she's always at the diner cooking and waiting for her husband to come home, who actually had a heart attack from overwork quite some time ago. And you find out Ota was actually kind of a dick to Mayumi. But in the end, Ota and Mayumi accept each other, and for as open-ended as Ota's story was, figuring out Mayumi's Somnium and seeing such a lovable mother-son relationship was a treat. Admittedly, I relate in trying to be a better son for my own mom. But let's finally talk about Iris Aset Sagan, the internet pop star. Debatably the second most important character to the story, next to Date, which has the least trusting introduction out of everyone. That's saying something since we later meet Moma, a literal Yakuza boss. But staying on track here, she's an 18-year-old rising internet dancer / streamer called Aset, a name given by her uncle, quote unquote, based on Egyptian Greek mythos. An explanation that she gives that comes off as somewhat important, but no, it doesn't lead to anything for the investigation. It's just how she got her nickname. Kind of disappointing, but oh well. When Date's investigation leads him to Lemniscate, essentially YouTuber headquarters, he finishes questioning Ota at the reception lounge, and Iris comes out. Date questions who she is and her thoughts on the new Cyclops killings, leading Iris to want to go with Date wherever else he's investigating. Date refuses and leaves, and Iris literally has Ota record her hugging Date, talking like they're breaking up, just to set up some blackmail so she can go with him to the crime scene. She just gets painted in a very bad light from the get-go, and I certainly had doubts about her or her intentions. Like, it's not every day you see teenagers eager to go to crime scenes to act as detectives, right? And like Mayumi Matsushita, she also has a mental issue of sorts. She has a class 4 brain tumor that you see affect her in subtle ways out of nowhere from time to time, and makes her imagination get the better of her, thinking she's being hunted by a secret organization called Nizet Laws. Another explanation that she gives, which I kind of wish was true, but as Thanos says, reality is often disappointing. I will say, I love the whole cast, and hell, even Date himself, which I usually don't like visual novel protagonists, so that's really saying a lot here, even if he's your atypical anime pervert. And if there wasn't any in-game appendixes for locations and people, I would have deadass gone my own pen and paper and made them myself. I love the setting and characters that much. There is one scene in particular concerning character interaction that just bled fucking vibes through my screen. That is when you leave Iris's Somnium and Iris and Date head to Matsushita Diner and also talk with Ota concerning conspiracy theories, and with that, some further explanation on Nizet Laws. The setting, the soft, casual tone of voice for the characters, and the song itself, Awakening Interval, was a chef's kiss, and I felt immersed more than ever in that very moment. Needless to say, that song is my favorite in the OST by far. I do think AI The Somnium Files has one of those, whether you're a gamer or not, you should listen to it kind of OST, similar to, say, Unbeatable or Skyrim. All the tracks are nice on their own, but some do hit much harder with context. Not just the particular scene in Matsushita Diner that I just explained, but regarding the theme song being used in infodump, plot twist scenes versus hearing it just in the main menu. The composer of this marvelous music is Keisuke Ito, who has also worked on Yakuza 3, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon titles, and of course Nirvana Initiative. So, big name over here. So as you progress through the story, you unlock multiple branches in the timeline, leading to different endings. I've already talked about Oda's ending regarding his mother, but Mizuki's ending is the most heartwarming, with her exploring Date's Somnium and finally telling how much she needs him with her parents now gone. And it could actually be seen as a soft ending to substitute the canon ending, which I wholeheartedly agree. Iris's ending is quite the opposite, with her dying from her brain tumor and never getting the surgery she needed. This final scene kind of reminded me of that Devil May Cry scene with Lady and Date. I think you know the one. Then you have the Annihilation ending with the Cyclops killer managing to kill everybody that Date is close with. And then finally we have the Resolution ending, the canon one. There is one problem I find with these branching paths, and at one point Iris explains the parallel world theory, and Aiba dismisses it as nonsense since there's no real proof of this phenomenon, and humans are only capable of seeing past events to begin with. But as you finish separate timelines in the story, sometimes Date references certain events in one timeline that actually happened in another, making it seem he has some special ability. Maybe it's a part of the weird humor the game has, but I can never tell if the parallel worlds was trying to be a serious matter here or not. Luckily, I think this is the one problem I have with the story progression, but it didn't break my immersion altogether. Let's wrap this episode up with getting into spoiler territory. You know, the real important stuff I want to talk about. So, it's first revealed in Annihilation ending that Saito Sejima, son of So Sejima, the corrupt politician, is the Cyclops killer. His sole purpose for all the killings is to meet Date and get back inside his original body, being Date's body. In Iris's storyline, Date and Aiba are led to an abandoned factory where a prototype Sing machine was made. And the purpose of the 6-minute time limit is actually to prevent the two synced partners to not switch bodies during sync, as Pewter later explains. The syncers also have to take out their left eye to use the headset hooked to the machine. Kaname Date is just a made-up name from Boss, since after switching bodies with Saito, Date got amnesia. Who Kaname Date really is an assassin nicknamed Falcon, and who also was Iris's uncle when she was little. Again, quote-unquote uncle. Just a nickname that Iris gives him. This whole sequence was extremely mind-boggling, and I haven't had a sense of goosebumps for a story like this since probably 13 Sentinels. I don't want to discredit AI Somnium Files here, but it kind of was like a diet version of 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, in the sense that playing 13 Sentinels, I was becoming to fear the unknown and where the story was heading. Like my brain was ripped out and thrown away. Whereas Somnium Files was more like, how do these people tie in to what's happening, and felt like my brain was turned inside out and sideways. Finding out the Saito and Date actually had their bodies switched reminded me of that idiom, what's the best place to hide something? Right under their nose. I know it wasn't Saito's intention to have Date in his body, but it was like, oh, we were kind of playing as the culprit the whole time, kind of deal. This was technically revealed in Iris's first Somnium, but felt brushed off very quickly, like there was no point questioning it. With all this being said, AI, the Somnium Files, really made me remember how much I still love good mysteries. It's all about seeing the footprints and how they build up to those key moments, which in a way are another set of footprints leading to the climax. Always learn to enjoy the journey, not the destination, as they say. It also helped me remember my love for point-and-click adventures. My first video game was Nancy Drew: The Final Scene for Windows XP, and it's a genre that holds a place in my heart. I definitely have to also check out the nonary games when I get the chance. The art style could have been more well stylized. The characters just looked a bit plasticky and almost uncanny when up close. And as much as I hate the one song Iris dances to all the time, the grand finale for the resolution ending was pretty funny. But I have no intention of going to the dance room that you unlock in the main menu to relive all that. There's plenty of events I did skip over, which I apologize for, but this episode has gone on long enough. I don't want to keep you guys. If you made it all the way through, thank you so much for listening. And again, I'll be sure to check out Nirvana Initiative as well, if no other games get in the way. I'm looking at you, 2026, September and October. Trails in the Sky, second chapter, god damn it. 7.5 out of 10 for me. If you guys have any suggestions for my next game, please leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video altogether, please consider liking the video in the episode and stick around, subscribe. But yeah, this is me, Caleb, and I'm out. See ya.